This video has been kindly sponsored by Squarespace. Welcome to another Stash Buster project video where I try to use up as much of my yarn as I can so I can save money and get my yarn collection to be at least a little bit smaller than it is right now. For this episode, I'll be doing home decor, and I'm really excited about it because I love decorating and redecorating my room, and this is also going to be the first time that I'm actually making some home decor with you. I made a home decor idea video in the past, but during that video I was kind of just making it on my own time, and even now I tend to just make home decor behind the scenes, so I'm excited to come up with some ideas with you guys. In order to figure out what exactly you want to make for your decor, you first want to look at the rooms you're trying to spice up and figure out what theme the room has or what theme you want it to have. That way you can think of your ideas a lot easier. For example, if you have a room that's really pink and you want to go for a Hello Kitty theme, then you can make some Hello Kitty crochet projects. The first room I want to make things for is where I usually film, which is my art/office room. And I have always known that I want to go for like an earthy jungle theme in here. That's why I have a lot of green and earth tone colors. I recently did this section right here. It was originally just pretty empty right there, but I added a lot of prints on here from Pinterest that I really liked. I added some extra CDs that I had and vinyls that were already scratched up, and then flowers from bouquets from Valentine's Day. I do have some crochet pieces already being used for home decor, like my Twilight blanket, for example. It works perfectly with my Papa-san chair. I have another blanket under there that I still haven't finished, and then this little rug right here. I didn't finish it because I ran out of yarn. This rug right here, it was originally going to be really big, but I stopped because I ran out of yarn, and I really like how it works for the room. But I feel like it would be better if it was a circular rug instead. So I might, for this video, I might take it apart and make it a circular rug instead. The sizing is perfect. Yeah, I'm gonna keep that in mind. Over here is my boyfriend's Mojo Dojo house, so we're just gonna ignore that. I have this windowsill cover that I made for my home decor idea video, and I really love it. It's held up really well and complements the room. And I'm thinking that I might do another leaf curtain. This is the one that I have for the entrance of the art room, and I really like it, and I think that it would also complement the room really well if I made another one and just have like one long strip there and then 4 sections, 2 in the middle and 2 on the sides. That could be an option. This is the living room area. There's literally nothing special going on, and I think that my 70s pillow is literally carrying the entire living room on its back right now. I have some coasters right here that were made on a whim. I'm thinking maybe I could spice up the coasters, maybe make some better ones. I have this pillow here from IKEA that I've had for years and years, and I've done nothing with it, and it just takes up space. I was thinking about giving it away, but now that I've done this pillow, I'm thinking maybe I could do something like that to this one to make it a lot better. This room is more brown toned, and now that I do have this pillow, I'm thinking maybe I can add more warm tones to this room. Like I can maybe make a mat for under the TV. Like I said, some maybe warm toned coasters, maybe some more pillow covers. For the dining room, which I just turned into a music room, maybe I can make like a warm toned rug right there. I'm not sure if I want to make a rug or buy one. I'll probably have to think about that. But if I were to do a rug in here, I'd probably make it like earth toned colors just so it can complement the credenza and the little tree right there. And now that I'm thinking about that, I could also do maybe like a runner from the doorway to like right there. I think that'll be nice. But yeah, for the living room, since it doesn't get that much light, I think some more warm toned colors would work, so it can just brighten up the room a bit. So now that I have the rooms and the themes in mind, I'm gonna go ahead and go through my yarn and get to designing to figure out what exactly I want to make.
3 hours later.
Alright, so I took a bit of time, longer than I thought I was going to, and just tried to figure out what exactly I want to make. I drew out some little designs. Some of them are incomplete just because it's a bit hard to figure out the idea with the yarn I have because they all depend on each other, and I'll explain that in a second. So the first idea is actually for this plant pot right here. I was thinking of doing some granny squares like these sunflower ones, like on this one here, but for the plant pot. And I wanted to make sure that I used cotton yarn, which is here, these right here. I'll show the brands really quick because sometimes I don't show it, but these are the ones that actually have a label on it, so I'll show you which ones I'm using. And I was thinking of doing some granny squares around and then making some layers on top and bottom, and then on the bottom it's just going to be like a circular layer. I'll go into it more when I get to that point. But these are the different color combinations that I was thinking of for the sunflower granny squares. And I think it'll work pretty well for it. For this pillow, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna save this for last just because I wanna work on the rug for the living room. And I'm not sure if I want it to be the runner or for the music section that I showed. But what I was thinking of just making like a little striped rug like this with these colors, and then maybe have some like tassels at the end like that. If I run out of colors, then it'll be for the music room, but if I have enough and I can make it as long as I need to, then it's going to be the runner for the entrance. I'm sitting on the rug right now, but I'm thinking of making this square rug into a circle. I think that'll be last also. And then for the window, I said that it would be cool if I did some green leaf curtains. This is the only green that I have a consistent amount in. It's a DK weight 3 yarn, and I have over 4 or 5 of these. It's a bit too bright for my liking, but I think it'll work if it's on the window, just because the window is so bright, you'll be able to actually see the curtains a little bit more. So I think that will be the option as well. And now the only way to see if all of this works is to go ahead and get started. So I think I'm gonna start with the curtains first, just because I know it's gonna take some time to do, and then I can work from hardest project to easiest from there. So let's go ahead and get started on the curtain. I started the curtains by first measuring the width of my window, which was around 75 inches, and then went ahead and chained 189 with my green yarn, which stretched to 75 inches. Then I worked 1/2 double crochet into each stitch for 1 row. Okay, while working halfway through the 1/2 double crochets for here, I realized that I really don't want to do this shade of green. So I went through my closet again and I found these. And I feel like these would just go with the room a lot more. This kind of goes, but these go way more. I think, I don't really know. I am gonna go ahead and make this decision to start over this and mix all of these together and make a curtain with these. I went ahead and started over with the new color and finished the 1/2 double crochet row a lot more satisfied now that I was using the lighter green. Once the row was done, I tied off and then put the base of the curtain to the side. That part was incredibly simple, but the easy yet tedious part of this project was next, which was the actual curtain vine parts. For each of the vines, all I did was first chain 22. After, I worked 1 single crochet into the first stitch. In the next stitch, I worked a 1/2 double crochet. Then in the next 2 stitches, I worked 1 double crochet into each. Then for the next stitch, I did 1 1/2 double crochet. And then in the last stitch, I worked a single crochet. This creates a little leaf that hangs out to the side. After that, I chained 16. After chaining 16, I repeated working a pattern of 1 single crochet, 1 1/2 double, 1 double, 1 double, 1 1/2 double, then 1 single, which creates another leaf. Then after that, chain 16, and repeat this over and over until there are a total of 20 leaves on the vine. It's incredibly easy, but knowing that I have to make 24 of these is the part that makes it tedious. I just finished the first vine for the curtain. I have a total of 20 leaves that I made on it. And the cool thing with the vine is, like, even though you're putting the leaves on the exact same place, when you put it on like the little base of the vine, it kind of like twists, and so Some of the leaves will look like it's going to the right, some of them look like they're going to the left, and you don't really have to like do much for that. It'll just do it on its own. While I was putting this together, I was thinking that I might take the old curtain and take some of the old, like this one right here, this fell off of the curtain while I was vacuuming one day, and I just never put it back on. And so I kind of used it to remember the pattern that I did. And I was just like, what would it look like if it was like mixed together? And I was like, I kind of like how this looks. So what I'm thinking of doing is maybe taking the old one apart, taking the vines from that, adding it to the new curtain, and making it for the big window. And so I won't have the door hanging anymore, and instead the window will have it. And I also think that'll be better because you'll be able to see it more, because you don't really see it in the doorway unless you're walking in. Yeah, I'm just gonna go with that. After taking the door curtain down, I pulled out the vines, which came out way easier than I thought it would. And after putting them together, I had a total of 13 vines, including the one I just did. I went straight into working on the rest of the vines, which when timed took around 10 minutes each. I just finished all of the vines, and I kind of separated them into 6 on one side, 6 on the other, and then 12 in the middle. And then here's like the little base that's gonna hold them together. I also added a stitch marker into the middle that will tell me where to add the middle vines. So now all I'm gonna do is take my tapestry needle and then just go into like every other stitch and weave each of these in. Attaching them went by really quickly, and I ended up enjoying how the colors were all sporadic and different. So I added all of the vines to the top base, and for some reason I thought it would be enough, but there's so much base left, so I am gonna go ahead and take the time to just make however many I need, and then I'll probably be done by tomorrow, and then we can go ahead and put the curtain up. But yeah, I wasn't expecting that. I really thought I was done and I was happy and getting ready to put it up, but yeah, not quite. I continued working on all the vines until I had a total of 38 vines and had all of them attached to the base, making sure that they were all evenly spaced out. The next day, I took a bunch of command strips and hooks and placed them on the walls next to and above the window, and then hung up the finished leaf curtain. It's gonna be hard to see, but here is the leaf curtain all put up. I really love how it works with the window, especially with all of the new foliage growing outside. I added 2 hooks into the middle and then 1 on each side, just so I can do the little curtain look of it opening on each side of the window. And it's easy to take them apart off of it. You just pull them and go ahead and like space them out a little bit, and then it can cover the whole window. And this is what it looks like with the whole window covered. The only thing I wish I did was make it a lot shorter, because if you can see, it goes to the bottom, and I have stuff over here, so it kind of gets in the way unless I just keep it down and push it on like behind the stuff. But besides that, it's really cute. I didn't do anything dramatic. Like I could have added flowers and stuff like that, but I just wanted to keep it simple and an easy project. And there's always like the option to add flowers in the future, because it's crochet. I could just take it down, add some more yarn, or even just make the flowers and put them there now as it's already hanging up, you know. And now that with that there, I want to go ahead and add more decor, like around possibly, and just make it look prettier and stuff. That's kind of why I added these extra leaves at the top, just to give it some more earthy look and stuff, especially since I had these in the closet forever. Later on that day, I had to get my car serviced, so I decided to start working on my plant pot cover. I ended up finishing around 6 squares while at the car shop, and then even started a base for the bottom of the pot, but I couldn't do much after that since I didn't know the exact measurements of the pot to really put everything together. I just got back from the car dealership, and this is what I got done while I was there, plus this square. But after placing these squares around the plant pot, I only needed 5, not 6, so I'm gonna take this apart and use this yarn for other parts of the design. For the circle, which is gonna be under the plant pot, all I did was a magic circle, and then I did 12 double crochets in the middle, and then the second row is increasing in all, the third row is increasing in every second, the fourth row is increasing in every third, and then for the last row, I switched to half double crochet, and then increased in every fourth. I switched to half double crochet because I'm gonna want to work up, and half double crochet has this third loop on the back, and working into that helps it rise up. And so I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna try to increase this up to around 85 stitches, because each granny square, which are sunflower granny squares by the way, they each have 17 stitches on each side. And what I'm thinking about doing is connecting all of the granny squares together and then sewing it onto the base. And I want there to be at least 85 stitches so that they can all fit on there. To make the bottom part rise up, if you see there's a normal V-stitch that you'd usually work in, but to make it rise with the bottom row extended out, I worked into this third back loop instead. So I just did normal double crochets into each, making sure to increase in every 5th stitch. After, I worked one row of single crochet, increasing in every 6th stitch, and then on the last row to make sure it reaches 85 stitches, I worked single crochets, making sure to increase into every 5th stitch. After, I sewed all the granny squares together and then went ahead and slip stitched the granny squares to the base of the plant pot cover. After that was done, I sewed the open part of the granny squares together. So after attaching everything and putting it together, it ended up being way too big, as if you can see. It's not even staying up in all of the spaces here. I'm thinking if I should either take off one square, but that means that I would have to take off all the squares, and then I would have to undo all of these rows because of all the increases I did to make sure all the squares fit, and I don't know if I feel like doing that. So what I'm thinking about doing is doing the same thing I did for the previous cover, which is basically on the back. I just stitched it together so that it's more tight around the base instead of having to redo everything. Not wanting to give up, I turned on a fun video, grabbed some food, and got to taking everything apart. I removed one granny square and then fixed the circle until there were only 68 stitches around. Then I reattached everything and hoped for the best. After placing the plant in the cover, it fit a lot better but was still a bit loose, so what I decided to do was first add a stitch marker to mark where I'd need to sew it together to make it tighter. Then I attached my yarn to the stitch before the stitch marker and did one row of single crochet on the top, making sure to skip over all the stitches that the stitch marker is holding. Then I placed the plant in the pot once more, and it was perfect, for me at least, cause I'm not starting this over again. Here is the completed plant pot. It came out pretty good, and I am really liking how tight fitted it is. And even when I pull it up a bit, the vines kind of hold the top up, which is nice. The little lump in the back isn't noticeable unless you're looking for it. And plus, since I'm keeping it in the back, it's perfectly fine. But yeah, I think the colors work really well for the room. It does add a pop of color, and I would have liked it if it was more of this orange here, but I think it's okay the way that it is. Yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out. I'm sure there was an easier way to make a plant pot, but I haven't gotten to that level of figuring it out. But maybe the next time I try to make one, I'll be able to make it a lot easier. For the rug, I first measured the area where I wanted it to be, which ended up being 41 inches in width and 104 inches in length. I then went ahead and chained 144, which when stretched went up to 41 inches. For the rug, I decided to do the moss stitch, which is basically first working into the 4th stitch of the chain with a single crochet, then chaining 1. Then from here until the rug is finished, all I do is skip a stitch, work a single crochet, and then chain 1. I do all of this over and over, switching my color on the last stitch if I wanted another color for the next row. After a full day of work, this is what I have done so far. I didn't count the rows yet, so I don't know how many rows this is, but I'm really liking how this is turning out. I ended up restarting over 4 different times because I wasn't liking how the colors were coming out, but then I chose these colors and I like it a lot better. Plus this works well with my living room. Originally this was gonna be a runner for the front area, but then I decided to just make it to be a rug next to the record player, just because the runner is going to take a really long time to make, so I'm just going to make a rug for the music room instead. I really like this part right here. I didn't know that this stitch would make the colors line up like this, and I'm gonna definitely do the stitch more often because this came out to be really pretty, and I think it would be cool to do on like a top or something. But yeah, this is coming out. This takes a long time to do though, because it's single crochet, and doing the moss stitch takes a longer time to do than just a regular single crochet, just because I have to pay attention more. But hopefully I can finish this by the end of the day, and then I could go ahead and start working on the borders. While working on the rug, I kept watching Avatarrrr, which I just want to say, Azula is wild. Like, she has no remorse in anything, and I kind of like that, because sometimes we need an antagonist that just doesn't care and is just mean and cruel just for the sake of it. I also used to not like Zuko, but his character development was off the charts, and he's become one of my favorite characters in the series. Same thing for Sokka. Once I finished the last row of the rug, I used the same color to create a border around the rug by single crocheting into each stitch until I reached the beginning of the last row. I then cut off, weaved in any ends I had, and then threw it into the dryer for 25 minutes. The last thing I did was cut off a bunch of yarn strands, and then tied 3 to 4 of them into each space I could to create tassels on each end of the rug. I used my crochet hook to pull the tassels through the stitches in a loop, and then took the ends and pulled them through that loop in order to secure them to the end of the rug. Here is what the rug looks like all completed. I'm not too sure if I like it, mainly because I like how I started it, but once I started running out of yarn and trying to find alternatives, it kind of changes how the rug is in a way. Like this side's really nice, and this one's like, it's okay. If this was the entire rug, then that'd be fine. If this was the entire rug, that'd be fine. But having the two together is kind of interesting in a way. I'm just not sure if I like it or not. But I really like that I added some tassels to both ends of the rug, and it's not as long as I wanted it to be. Like, it was supposed to be a rug for the front entrance, but my hands were starting to hurt, and I was like, this is gonna take forever, so I'm just gonna make this rug for the music room and call it a day. It looks okay in the music room. I'm still getting used to having a rug there, and I feel like it would be a lot better if I had some posters up. Besides that, it's cool. The rug was pretty simple to do. It's just a basic moss stitch until you don't feel like moss stitching anymore. And yeah, that is the rug. For the last piece I wanted to work on, which was the circular pillow cover, I first decided to use a mixture of these bulky yarns since I thought it would work up quicker and be more solid on the pillow. I first started with a magic circle filled with 6 double crochets. Then for the next row, I switched to my orange color and worked an increase into every stitch. For the next row, I switched my color again and worked an increase into every other stitch. I used this pattern of increases to gradually make the panel big enough to fit on the pillow. While I did this, I finally finished Avatarrrr, which completed my full binge watch of the series, and oh my gosh, this show was a 10 out of 10 for me. The character development, the relationship developments, the fighting sequences, chef's kiss for real. I already started watching the live action series that just came out because I got sad that I actually finished the animated series so quickly, and I guess I will talk about what I think about that in my next video. After finishing the first panel, I went ahead and started the second one, which went by a lot faster. I then placed the pillow in between the panels, attached my yarn to both of the panels, and then began to single crochet around the sides. After a couple stitches, I removed the pillow since it was in the way, but once I was almost done seaming the entire sides of the pillow cover together, I added the pillow back in the middle and finished the single crochets. After, I cut off and weaved in the ends, and then the pillow cover was complete. Here is what the pillow came out to look like. I like this side a lot more than this side, and I thought it would be cool to do what the pillow did before adding the cover, which was having one side different than the other. I started with this yarn because I thought it looked really cool, and at first I was thinking of doing this yarn for the whole thing, but then I was just experimenting a little bit with the orange, and I was like, okay, this would work. But then for the other side, I ran out of this yarn. So I was like, okay, I think it'll be best if I did something completely different for the back. So it still kept the circular striped motion going on and everything, but then the only difference is I just added some extra bulky yarn that I had, and I think this was a great way to use it all up. This, I kind of got inspiration from my little tapestry because I noticed that I had similar colors, and I was like, okay, let me try to like kind of replicate that. In terms of the color scheme. The colors aren't exact, but I think this pillow matches perfectly with that tapestry so well to the point where I'm thinking of just having this pillow on my papasan chair instead of the living room. I'll just have to think of another way to turn my gray living room into something more colorful and fun and inviting. Out of all the pieces I made for the home decor, I think this one might be my favorite, as well as the leaf curtain. I didn't do anything dramatic with the leaf curtain. There's no other flowers or anything, but it still adds personality to the room, and I really like that. I think it would have been cool to maybe add another curtain over here, but the only issue with that is that the door opens outward, not inward. So I would have to do that on the outside, which is why the curtain was originally on the outside of the art room door, but you couldn't really see it because it's so dark in the living room. Before we go, I want to say thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Squarespace is an all-in-one platform where you can create your very own website. I think it's perfect if you're someone who wants to open their own fiber arts business, whether if it's to sell your own pieces, open commissions, or even sell your own patterns. You can even use it to showcase your portfolio for your art as well. Squarespace offers numerous amounts of templates to get you started, and the designer interface is beginner-friendly and customizable, so your website can look however you'd prefer. If you wanted to create your own business website, Squarespace offers a commerce tool which allows you to keep track of your inventory and your customer data. And you can even make cute newsletters, which is really fun. If you're interested in Squarespace, you can go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and you can use my code for 10% off of your first purchase. Thank you again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video.